We here? Yeah, yeah, I'm right back at you like I never left, and I'm gonna go this hard to my last breath. It's Lil Kenny Russell Kanoom, Connoisseur Moon. You already know what you're gonna get when you step in this room. You're now dealing with Kanoom. Yeah, yeah, I'm here. While I'm here, I'm gonna make the information direct and clear because a lot of y'all can't hear it. Yeah, yeah. Now, welcome back to Ancestors Speak. Welcome back to Make My Ancestors Great Again. This is another episode of Ancestors Speak. Today we have the great Bubba Clarke, Dr. John Henry Clarke. Um, Again, I named him the Imhotep of all information because he has so much information stockpiled in his brain. To me, he would be considered like Imhotep. Imhotep was the first multi-genius in the world. He was an African man. And I consider the likes of Dr. John Henry Clarke, the great ancestor, the great master teacher. I consider him to be comparable to that. So um, it's just my opinion of him. So let's hear from the great Dr. John Henry Clarke. This is Ancestor Speak. We haven't did it in a couple of weeks, so I wanted to do it today. This is Dr. Martin Luther King's Day. Um, he deserved a lot more than just the day. He has a day, and I guess that's all a person can want. They have their own holiday, but a lot more statues and things like that, commemorative things should be all across this whole country with this man's likeness because he did a lot for people that looks like me and or he and I, should I say. So I didn't like the method he chose to do his business, but he did do his business. So he will always be gratefully respected for that. Um, he's not one of the men that I would say is considerable into or instrumental into turning me into who I am today, because he wasn't that revolutionary to me, though he was courageous and revolutionary in many aspects. So I don't ever want to disrespect him or downplay what he did. He just wasn't to my liking because the method that he did it, um, to me, it wasn't respectful, but it wasn't in his understanding. So again, um, hope everybody enjoy their day. Let's look at the video. I don't own it. You can watch it and find it wherever you can in its entirety. This is just a clip I took from a great speech that he made. And let's look at it.
Now, black people are ticklish on this because black people think that everything in the Bible is true. I question the intelligence of anyone who thinks everything in the Bible is true or supposed to be true.
I've been saying this over and over and over and over and over. Okay. And the great master teacher, he's echoing it. Well, I'm echoing a lot of what he's saying, but I go a little further and say none of it is true. It's oral tradition, allegory, fiction, mythology, and flat out goddamn lies. We're talking about the book of the Bible, okay? Which is supposed to be God's words and God's creation. Anything you want to know, just go to the Bible. That is a flat out lie. Let's continue. And he said, I question the intelligence of anybody who believe everything in the Bible is true or supposed to be true. That's a fact. I have to question your intelligence, get you an IQ check or a checkup from the neck up. Let's continue.
It's allegory, stories told to illustrate a point at a time when there were very few people reading books.
At a time where no one was reading books. The oral stories that's told in the Bible was told at a time when books weren't even they weren't in use, should I say. They had, depending on how far back you go, they had ancient scrolls and texts and things like that, but it was only one civilization that had things of that nature. African civilizations all up and down the Nile Valley. So when they start talking about cuneiform tablets and all that stuff is very recent. It's fictitious, and a lot of it is made by the European for those purposes to try to substantiate the Bible. Cannot substantiate the Bible because none of it is true, not one word.
And most of what went into the making of the Bible was copied from Egyptian texts. Now, if you want to get so dewy-eyed over the Bible, which is a carbon copy of a carbon copy, why don't you go back and read the original Egyptian text?
Now, a lot of the ancestors and people say that, but no one's reading the Egyptian text if you're talking about hieroglyphic text left and scrolls and things like that. Now, if they read in the hieratic and the demotic and things like that, that's something else. But if somebody's saying they're reading the hieroglyphic scripts, that's false. Okay, the glyphs have never been deciphered, and they never will, because they're symbols. And I can make all kind of symbols today and have a whole key and a ledger of what the glyphs mean. And when I die, take the ledger before I die, take the ledger, burn it up and destroy it, but leave the symbols out here. And no one would ever know what those symbols mean unless they found my ledger or they asked me what it meant. You can't ask my children. You can't ask some scientists. You can't ask some linguistics specialist. What does this mean? He'll just be guessing. So what they did is theory, speculative guesswork, and it's a flat out lie. But a lot of the brothers in the community, they want to know information so bad, they'll tell a European you did decipher it so we can understand this civilization a bit closer. But they don't understand it. They've confused the world again, and they've confused a lot of the Africans who want to take that information to be true, and it's just not. Now, uh, a lot of the stories have been stolen and co-opted and put into the Bible, maybe like the Horus or the Osiris story, and um, in terms to Jesus the Christ rising again, he was killed and things like that. And then you have the Cain and Abel. Um, Peru was murdered by, I'm sorry, Osiris was murdered by Seth. The two brothers killing each other and one raised and all that stuff. Then you have the Mary had a baby without a man. You have that with Isis. She had a baby without a man. So it's a lot of things like that. That's what they're saying, but it's nothing significant to the point, um, to the stories. Like I'm saying, hieroglyphic stories are text left and it's copied directly. He's saying a lot of the, um, like I say, the horse is Jesus, a lot of things like that. So I can agree with that, but I don't agree that they went word for word deciphering hieroglyphic text and put it in the Bible. I don't agree with that.
Then you see where all these stories started from. You see where the story of the Exodus started from. Now you could so do it. I do actually think there was an Exodus. These
That's another thing. If it wasn't an Exodus, it's no need to go on and find that it was a Jesus later. If Exodus cannot be substantiated, that's it. The Bible got to go out the window. That's the book right after Genesis. Okay. Israel Finkelstein, Aziz Herzog, these people, Israel Finkelstein teaches at Tel Aviv. They are archaeologists who in 1985 said no, and plenty of people would attest to all that. The Exodus never occurred. That's simple. It never occurred. Okay.
people walked into Africa. Why couldn't they walk out? Why did they have to go by sea? Go. Why did the sea have to part? If you read Egyptian literature, you will discover that the whole story of somebody parting the sea started with about 3,000 years before the Hebrew entrance. I should not use the word Hebrew entrance, before the entrance from Western Asia. Now let's get one thing straight, because black people are confused about all religions. Now I'm not against any religion. I'm a very spiritual human being. I just don't need a preacher to preach no 10 Commandments to me when he's a backslider going with some sister, some other man's wife. I'm intelligent enough to pick from the 10th commandment, who were not commandments anyway, but they were omissions of purity at the great school at Luxor, the great African training school. All right.
All right. That was a great master teacher, Dr. Clarke. He said he didn't need a pastor preaching no commandments on him. They weren't commandments anyway. They were admissions from the great school of Luxor. He's talking about the 42 principles and the laws or confessions of Ma'at. Okay. That's far older than the 10 commandments. What someone did is extracted 10 of those and put them and used them for the Jewish community or the Hebrew or the Israelite community, however you want to cut it. So that was John Henry Clarke, the great Imhotep, in my consideration. Um, I just want to take my hat off to him, tell him I love him. May his soul rest and his spirit continue to be lifted to the ancestors. Um, Again, I just want to thank him. Salute Kenny Russell, Canoe, Consul Moon. You already know what you're going to get when you step in this room. You're now in the canoe. This is what I do, and I love to do it. And before I take back what I said, I ask them all to like, share, subscribe, comment, and I thank you for watching. Remember, education and preparation is the first step to retaliation. So before you pick up a weapon or a religion, pick up some knowledge. Yeah, yeah.